afternoon and welcome to Follow Your Brush with Pam. I am a watercolor adventurist and obviously an adventurist when it comes to my fingernails too, right? Can you get any brighter than that orange and black cat? I don't think so. Welcome if you have never been here before, and to all my new recent subscribers, I'm glad to have you with me. I'm not monetized. I am just a person who had lots of questions when I began watercolor. And so as I learn, I share, and I thought there might be others that are along that same journey. So here we go. Today I am carving pumpkins. Not as bright as my fingers, but I'm carving pumpkins. I took this picture at a local pumpkin farm we have here. And these were all in a barrel together. And I thought, wow, that would make a great jigsaw puzzle. And I've never really painted it. I took this about 2 years ago because it just kind of intimidated me because of the dark negative space areas. And it just kind of intimidated me at the time. But today I thought, I'm going to take it on. I'm going to try 2 different approaches. So let me share with you what I'm doing and see how we go. I'm going to set this aside. I am using Arch paper. This is the 9x12, 140-pound cold press. And my nails shock me every time I see them. Cold press, 140-pound. And this is a block. So it is glued together on all 4 sides. And then you can put a palette knife in here and separate when you're done. And I did put a piece of tape in the middle because I'm trying 2 different approaches to this. The paintbrushes I'm using are my go-to Levinson paintbrushes, and if you're still watching this in October, Tracy's given Follow Your Brush members 20% discount on his brushes through the end of October. So you still have another week. I really love these brushes. They're so lightweight and easy for me to handle, especially with arthritis. So, plus the quality is just bar none. Anyway, so those are the brushes I'm using. The paints that I'm using today are from A Gallo. This is a company of handmade paints from Assisi, Italy. Their logo is so pretty. They're honey-based with a touch of rosemary. I'm sorry, I started to say raspberry. Rosemary essential oil, local honey, raw pigments, and gum arabic. So I really enjoy these, and they had some nice bright oranges, yellows, reds, and some a nice quin red gold, and I thought that might be good for my pumpkins. So here's the 2 different approaches that I'm taking. I already started, but I can't do the whole thing because that would be too long. This side, I did a complete wash of water, just watered down the whole page. And then I came in with 2 of my oranges and some yellow, and I just dropped in color, just wherever. And if you're not familiar with doing wet on wet like that, it's really simple. I'm just going to do this just one spot here. And I'll save this for later. This is wet on wet. You just wet your page, you can actually kind of sketch with water if you want. You see that? You see where it's shiny? That means it's wet. You come in here and then just drop your colors where the water has gone and let it run. And you know, I always say the pigment will flow where the water goes. I always say it, but I have to correct myself each time I say it because I always mess it up. The pigment will flow where the water goes. And so that's the case with the wet on wet that I did on this, because I just put the water in certain spots. And now I can come in and drop my pigment and let it just kind of do its thing. That's the wonderful thing about watercolors. You can just let it paint itself practically. Just a little bit of guidance here and there. And then it will flow and do marvelous things, darling. That's one reason I love it. Come in here with some of this Quin Gold, because Quin Red Gold, put a little bit of, let that kind of come down around in my little shapes. Ooh, actually, I'm liking this pumpkin better than the ones I had started earlier. Isn't that pretty? See what I mean? It just kind of does what it wants to do. And what it wants to do is just beautiful things. So there are more than one ways to carve a pumpkin, right? Let me come in with some more with this Aussie Red Gold. That's so pretty. Or Quin Gold, I'm sorry. Quin Gold. Daniel Smith has Aussie Red Gold. Wow, now isn't that a fine looking pumpkin? I actually like this pumpkin better than what I was working on. But you know, that's what I do sometimes. Just let this run. If you have too much water, it's going to wash it out. So you don't want to do that. Let's give it another line here. I notice they're very symmetrical. And they are going to be a little darker on the bottom. So that's a pretty cool looking pumpkin to me. I like that one. I'm going to set it aside and let it dry while we look at this other project. So anyway, that's what I did here on this page. I went ahead and wet it, and then I just came in with my oranges and yellows and just filled the page up and let it run. Now I'm going to come back in, and I'm not going to stick strictly to my reference photo. I don't want to do that. I am not a realistic painter. Sometimes if somebody knows what it is or where it is that I've painted, I'm like really thrilled. It's like, oh yeah, wow, you could actually tell that's what it was. Just kind of gives, I just have a friend who is in, who travels a lot, and he sends me beautiful paintings, photographs of his travels all over the world. And he's given me permission to paint what I wish from his photographs if I am so inspired. So I always double check with him and give him credit. And I love it when I paint something and he goes, oh, I know exactly where that was. That was at such and such national park in Brazil, and he knows exactly, or Portugal, he knows exactly where it was. And I'm like, yay, I'm glad he could tell. Okay, I'm gonna let this little pumpkin dry. There's one of our pumpkins. I took this picture of these pumpkins in at a local pumpkin farm that we have, because they're just so cute. They're just so cute. And all different colors. They even had a blue pumpkin. I'm not going to do my blue pumpkin today. I did that a couple years ago. Come back in here with this beautiful Quin Gold. I don't know about you, but I love the Quin colors, the quinacridone colors. To me, they are just spectacular. And what I did not do on this side is I didn't do my darks yet. The dark colors will come to differentiate, that's the negative space in between the objects. I'm leaving some light because we do want to leave some light, because these pumpkins do have some light spots. Just going to kind of do this here so I can remind myself that those are where my dark colors are going to go, my darks. So you want to kind of outline your shapes. So this is one way to carve a pumpkin. I like this pumpkin. I like what it's doing. Let's come up here and add a little brighter pumpkin up here. Let's get some in here, with some yellow. The orange is already down, so the these are fairly transparent paints, so it's just going to kind of give it a little different shade of a pumpkin. I do like this orange though. And just let's play with that one. And then I'll explain to you the difference in how I approach these two. Let me come back in here and add some dark space. The negative space, and it can go into this little pumpkin, that's fine, is the space between the objects. And you're actually kind of carving your object around the object, if that makes sense. It's so hard to explain sometimes. So if I'm going to have another little pumpkin, it kind of looks like a little butt, little pumpkin butt there. Sorry about that. The negative space is going to help me know where those shadows are and distinguish between my shapes. So I got a little pumpkin going here. Some darker space there. These colors I think are working beautifully together actually. A little bit darker down here, and then we will just kind of carve out the space for another pumpkin here. You see how that's happening? Hopefully. And then while this dries a little bit, I'm going to come over to the other side and tell you how I approach this one a little differently. This other side, I approach the other side differently. I'll let this dry a little bit. But I think you get the idea. What I'm trying to do is carve these pumpkins in paper and paint. Not necessarily with a knife. That's coming together well, actually. What I did on this side, I got a little more detailed. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes I actually get too detailed for my own good. But I sketched a crop part of this picture, and I did my darks first. And I did the dark, the combination of the Noturno and the Quin Red. And then I popped in some of my oranges over top of my sketch. So you see my pencil marks, and I personally don't like pencil marks. Often I use a water-soluble pencil, or you can use water-soluble graphite. And, or I haven't tried the crayons yet, but I know they're out there. They're tempting me and calling my name. I did dry this thoroughly, and so I'm ready to come back in. So let's just kind of come back in here to this one that I have not approached yet. You want your brush to kind of go in the direction of the shape. And I noticed that these shapes are really like little triangles. They kind of make a little star or a little triangle shape. I'm going to go right over that stem. Actually, I made that stem too dark. Just afterthought. Do this one too up here. I'm using just the tip of my brush, even though this is his large brush. This tip just is absolutely fabulous and allows you to use just as much or as little as you wish. And it's just a great brush. Can't say enough about Tracy's brushes. I know you may have your own favorites, and that's terrific. But if you like Tracy's and want to support him, I'm sure he would appreciate it. It's kind of a one-man job, and he's pretty well known around the world, actually, for his brushes. I'm going to add some more of this Quin Gold because I really, really like the way that it's adding dimension to my little guys here. And just the way it's running in and playing really nicely with my pumpkins. So it's just a couple different approaches. By doing this first, you can, and even this wash here, you can choose to leave your light spots because you do want to leave some of the light in your white of your paper. That's really how you get your highlights. You really don't paint with white paint in watercolor. We try to leave the white of the page to do your highlights. So I like how this is going. I want to brighten this one up a little bit. Come back in. It might be too late to give it some yellow, but I'm gonna try. With your first wash, you do want to try to go light because you can't go lighter in watercolor. In acrylics, you go dark to light, but in watercolor, you have to do your darks last. Now, except that I did do my dark colors in there with that to mark my. Now, if you are just noticed what I just did, I added way too much water. That is my mistake. But I'm just going to let the watercolor do what it wants to do. And I'm just going to move it around where I think I might like it. Watercolor has a mind of its own. If you watch Steve Mitchell, The Mind of Watercolor, you'll learn that in a hurry. I actually, this area here is too puddly. I added too much water. And so you do have to be mindful of that when you're doing watercolor. But I actually like how it's blending down into my pumpkins here, giving them some personality. Come around the side, add some more darks here. So this was my two approaches to carving a pumpkin today in this picture. I'm trying, as you know, if you've been following me, work on my negative spaces. And this is a good practice for negative space. This picture actually kind of looked like a jigsaw puzzle. A jigsaw puzzle that I personally would not want to do because they kind of drive me crazy. My grandkids love them and they do a great job, but I'm not a jigsaw puzzle person. But there's just some ideas for you. I'm going to move this around a little bit with my brush because I really got too much in there. But you know, when it dries, it may be just what this picture needed. Really pretty. I'm liking these here. Let me go back over to these again. Let that dry a little bit. I'm not going to prolong this, but I do want to add some highlights here. And actually, what I need to do instead of highlights is I need to accentuate my darks, because then the highlights will show up. Does that make sense? So that's what I want to do here, to let this come around and accentuate the dark spots, and then it makes the light spots pop. I don't want to be too heavy-handed, but I do want to kind of come in with the side of my brush a little bit. And just bring down some of these dark marks. I'm liking this pumpkin. I'm going to do some here too, give you the idea. Once again, just can take that dark and bring it around. This Quin Gold is a little bit granulating as well, so we're seeing some of that in addition to just the dark. And look how that makes the lighter colors pop out. I know I'm painting on my tape here, but I'm just gonna show you this. And then I'll let you go and go find a pumpkin to either carve, paint, or eat. We're gonna have some pumpkin pie. It is pumpkin season. Grocery stores are full of them. We got some out front that my grandkids did, and then the raccoons and possums and all the little critters that live outside are coming to enjoy them. So it's fun. It's fun. Bring some up in here too. So there you go. Just a couple ideas of different ways you can go about painting. Bringing in lights and darks. Getting your lights to pop by adding the dark. Let's finish this one little pumpkin down here. This one needs some help. Come in with some orange because I didn't really give him much before. And it's already got some nice watermarks on it because of what I had done earlier and let it dry. So now I'm just kind of, it's like I say, it kind of does it by itself. So now I'm just coming in and adding some little extras along the side. So have fun, enjoy your fall paintings. I'm seeing lots of leaves and people painting lots of trees and all kind of things for fall, and it's really fun. So enjoy yourself, stay safe, all that stuff that mothers say. That's what I always tell my children, just fill in the blanks. You know what I'm gonna say, so just fill in the blanks and have a good time. And there's my little pumpkins. I don't like this. It's a little bit too much, so I might come back and lift some of that. Two different ways to create and carve some pumpkins for Halloween. One is more methodical. One is looser. What do you like to do? Do you like to think it through and try to be really specific? Or do you like to just kind of go with the flow like I did on this one? This could even use some yellow spatter, would be pretty. It might still be a little bit too, still a little bit too wet. Yeah, it's too wet. You're not really gonna see it. Oh, there's some. So what's your preference? Do you like to be free and loose, wet on wet, or do you like to try to think a little bit and plan it out? Let me know. Hope you enjoyed this little demo and following me as I follow my brush. and try to make things fun and enjoyable along the way. Have a great time. Great Halloween. If you don't celebrate Halloween, just have a wonderful fall. Enjoy the autumn. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing and all those things that we do on Facebook, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.